Hi guys, Steph here. Do you remember this? Yes, it's a biro box from one of my recent pen hauls, and I'm going to reveal to you, well, if you've read the description you know already what's inside, but let's take a look at it. So let's open this up, let's take the pen out, pop the box to one side. Look at that. What a gorgeous, handsome fountain pen. Absolutely gorgeous. I've just finished this pen, I've fully restored it. As I say, well, not as I say, I've not told you yet, it's a Ford patent fountain pen. Now, when it came to me, it was in a little bit of a sorry state. It was quite dirty, especially inside. All the parts were sort of crudded up with old ink, and they were actually very, very dirty. What I've done, I've actually spent quite a bit of time on it. I've been very, very careful, obviously, and what we've done now, we've fully restored it, and it's ready for a new home. So what we have, as I say, is a Ford's patent pen. No, it's not made by the Ford car company. This pen, it was actually designed by a gentleman by the name of George Stuart Wyvern around about the 1930s, and he designed this pen with, well, numerous patents, and the patents were actually for well, as you'll see in a moment, for a large ink capacity, also ink visibility, and it also has a sort of safety mechanism to prevent leaks. Now, this pen, although it was actually designed by Mr. Wyvern, it was actually marketed by T.B. Ford Limited, and they were actually a famous, well, they were a company that were making blotting paper of that particular period, and they were based in High Wycombe here in the UK. Now, this pen is made from, well, as you can see, it's mottled hard rubber with these two sort of a finial to the end and the knob there to the bottom in black, which one for me is quite unusual. I've not seen this particular variation before. This pen, the Ford's patent pen, I believe was made in 4 different sizes: a lady's size, I think it was a short standard size, this one being the standard, and I believe they made a slightly bigger one which they called the Magnum. Now, when I say this is the standard size, the pen from the top of the cap to the bottom of the barrel is around about 144 millimeters capped. Around the barrel, it's a lovely chunky 14 millimeters in diameter. As you can see, in gorgeous, superb condition. Now, the nice thing about these pens, let's show you the sort of the barrel imprint. Now, what I need to do is keep it sort of nice. I think that's the patent, so let's find the Ford. There we go. So you'll see it says Ford patent pen. Okay, if I lift it up slightly, it says London. So as you can see, it's got a lovely clear imprint. And then if I turn it round slightly, looking over the camera, I think that's where it is there. I'll turn it slightly so you can see it. And then what it has there is, I think it says patent numbers. It's got 2 patent numbers, and then underneath it actually says other and world patents pending. Okay, so I'm hoping that's nice and clear for you there. So as you can see, it had numerous patents and numerous patents pending as well. Now this pen, it's renowned for, if you like, its engineering. Some people say it was over engineered. Others claim it is the most, well, the best engineered pen of that period. And when I say period, this pen was made 1930s. I think 1930s, 31. So a superb example. Now, what we're going to do, let's show you inside. So what I'll do first of all, let's unscrew the cap. Let's show you the pen in different angles. And as I say, I've seen them, well actually these are actually made in black. They're also made in this mottled red hard rubber, and they also come with overlays. Now I've actually seen them in this mottled red, but as I say, this little touch here with the black finial and the black sort of button, if you like, or the knob to the end there, I've not seen, so I believe it's unusual. Not only is it unusual, but nice and simple. These pens are very, very sought after, and they are rare pens. Now, the only slight downfall with this one, if I show you the cap there, normally they have two cap rings, but you can see it's actually sort of missing a little bit of the lip. It's got a little bit of chip there, as you can see. But they were renowned for having very thin cap lips, so I believe it's a common problem with these pens. Although saying that, for me personally, I do not think it reflects any on the beauty of this very handsome pen. So let's pop the cap down. Now obviously we'll turn it round. You can see there's no lever. We've got this sort of plunger or knob at the end here. So how does this pen fill? If it's over engineered, yeah, let's have a look. Let's see what it's all about. Now before I show you inside the pen, let me show you, if you like, a breakdown of the pen and everything that is inside this pen. So before we show you inside the pen, here's the pen totally disassembled. As you can see to the back, we've got the barrel, we've got the cap. To the top there, we've got the clip, we've got the finial for the top of the cap there. We've got the nib, we have the section, and as you can see there, look at that. There's the feed with this very, very long breather tube. We've got the plunger knob or the syringe knob to the end. We've got the pin there that goes inside. Then we've got the inside, the ink chamber, which is this one here, and as you can see, it's lovely and clean and clear. When this pen came to me, it was full of crud old ink, and this chamber was literally black when I received it, along with a lot of these parts. But what we've done, we've cleaned everything, and as you can see, everything now is ready to go back together. So we've got the nice clear. Incidentally, this is the cellulose, I think there was a cellulose ink chamber. A little bit later, what they did, they actually introduced a perspex ink chamber, which I believe they had many problems with. It cracked, it crazed, and it literally sort of broke up. So this is the original celluloid one. Then what we've got here is the plug that goes to the end of the ink chamber. Inside the plug we had the old cork seal, which we've removed, and what I've actually done, there we go, that's the seal that I'm actually going to use now, and I actually made that from a PFM point seal, so we've adjusted it to fit inside this particular plug here. And then because this seal is a lot smaller than the cork one, what we've done, we've made some spacer washers here, so they'll go on top because we'll have a little bit of a gap. And then to the top of that we've got this little washer, this screw washer, or a retaining screw washer, that basically goes back in and holds the seals in place. Then we've got the spring here which sits on the end of the plunger here and inside the plunger knob. This spring here was rusted. I've cleaned everything. As you can see, everything is lovely and clean. And then last but not least, we've got actually the syringe sort of filler or rod, if you like. This section sits on the end there once we've installed the new plunger washer. And then what it had originally is these two little washers here. Now because I'm actually going to be using a modern replacement, we're not going to be using cork as it was originally, so these two little washers here, as you can see on this sort of plunger rod, them two can now be discarded. And then while we're showing you the plunger or the syringe, well, whatever it's actually called, you can see here it's got this hole inside the rod itself, and that actually helps for the filling of the pen, as we'll show you in a moment. So there we have it. That's a full breakdown of the pen. As I say, it was black, it was crudted with old ink. We've cleaned everything thoroughly. We've got a new modern type plunger washer. So what we're going to do now is put all this back together, put it all back together in the pen and see, fingers crossed, if it works. Okay, so that was a breakdown of all the parts inside the pen. So let's see how we actually fill this beautiful handsome pen. What happens, nice and simple, is we unscrew this knob at the end here, and look at that. What happens is, if you like, the whole inside of the pen comes out. You can see it's got this ink chamber. So what we'll do, incidentally, one of the things I've sort of missed, let's pop that, screw it back in. Now, as we said earlier, one of the patents for this pen was for a safety valve inside, which, you know, hopefully you can see from the breakdown. It's got like a little cone to the end of the plunger that seats inside this section and supposedly shuts off the ink. And how it works is that we've got a spring inside this little area here, and when you actually screw the pen onto the cap, if I just show you this, okay, so there you go, look at that. Okay, so it's spring loaded inside, and when you actually put the cap on, it actually closes the, if you like, the plunger into the section, and supposedly that is the safety shut off. Whether it works or not, I don't quite know. But there we go. That's what's inside the pen. And again, you can see the ink chamber there, lovely and clear as we showed you earlier. Just look how big it is, and we can, well, I think just by looking at that you can see that I'm sure the ink capacity is quite a lot. The section there you can see, and just inside there we've got this spring And if I pull this out there like so, there we go. And the pen fills as a syringe. It's what they term as a syringe filler. So in effect, what happens, we dip the nib and the section into the ink, and then as I pull it up, you can see the plunger seal there comes up, and then as we push it down, it goes back into the original position. So in effect, what happens is when we dip it in the ink, let's just move that out of the way so maybe we can see through a little bit more. So in effect, what happens is we dip the nib and the section in the ink, we pull up on the plunger knob, and the seal comes up, as I said, like a syringe. Presumably then, I've not tested it yet, it fills with a little bit of ink, and then on the downward stroke, apparently what happens, because you've got these holes that we showed you earlier in the plunger rod, the ink then fills past the seal, and I believe it takes around about I think they actually said about 3 or 4 strokes to fill the pen, but some people do actually say that, you know, it can actually take a couple more than that. So a very interesting filling system indeed. As you can see there, everything has been cleaned, serviced, in beautiful condition. Now, just one of the other things before we show you how to fill it. When you actually got this pen, or when you bought this pen in 1930s, apparently the pen came to you with this ink chamber filled with water. Apparently that was because the original seals here were leather, so it would actually sort of lubricate the leather seal, and the seals to the end here were cork, which again presumably by supplying you the pen full of water, it would keep the pen and the seals lubricated. Allegedly these pens, when you fill them and begin to write, they can skip, I believe, or they can be difficult to write. They need, well, as some people say, they need the pen to be primed. But hey ho, should we have a look? Should we see if that's the case? As I say, I've just finished this pen this morning, so what I'm going to do, I've never had one of these, so the pen is going to be tested, well, right now. So fingers crossed that I've done everything correctly, and hopefully let's see if everything works. So there we go, the plunger's in the downward position. Let's dip the nib and the section into the ink, and let's pull up. There we go, we've got a little bit, so let's pop that down again. Let's pop it up once more. And I hope you can see there, we've got a little bit of ink in the ink chamber there. Now, what I'm going to do, when you actually fill these pens, you never leave the rod extended, so we need to push that all the way home like so. Let's take it out of the ink, let's give it a wipe. Okay, so you can see the plunger sort of knob is all the way home. I'm not going to fill it all the way up. You can see we've got a little bit of ink there. That will be more than adequate for a writing sample. So assuming that you fill the pen up, you would now pop it back into the barrel, screw the knob all the way home like so, and you're ready to write. It's a lovely oversized fountain pen. As you can see, I've got large hands and it looks very large in my hands. never mind that, let's see if the pen writes. So again, fingers crossed. What we have here is a Ford's patent pen, made in London, and the date was 1930s, I believe, 1931. It's writing very nicely actually. Look at that. Does the nib actually have any flex? I would say just a tad. Okay, so on the downward stroke we're getting, I would say, yeah, a slightly thicker line than we're actually getting on the cross line. So it's got a tad flexibility, but sorry, I spelt that wrong. But there we have it. There's a little writing sample, writing very nicely indeed. It's writing absolutely lovely. I'm actually delighted that everything is in working condition, everything is working. It's writing, well, yeah, very nicely indeed. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. Incidentally, one of the things that I've not actually shown you is the nib. So let's keep it nice and still. Let's hope it focuses. And to be quite honest with you, I've forgotten what it actually says on the nib. So I'm looking for my loop. Ford 428 mil 14 carat. So that's what it says on the nib. But look at the size of the nib. It's got a lovely large nib. There's a sideways view. There's the feed underneath. As always, everything is lovely, lovely and clean. So, a beautiful pen, stunning condition, in working order, as you've just seen. So let's find it a new home. This one, as I say, it's a rare pen. It's not a cheap pen, so don't expect it to be a cheap pen, but people out there that are looking for this specific model, they are aware that this is an expensive and rare pen. So what we're going to do now is unscrew the innards again, and this time what I'm actually going to do is bring on some water and let's see if we can fill the pen to full capacity. So what I'm going to do is basically pull the plunger out, as we've done there, press it down in one movement, and now let's fill the pen. So we've got a little bit more there, so let's press it down once again. Let's do it again. So we're pulling up, let's press it down again. Look at that, look how much ink we're actually getting. Let's do it again, pulling out, push it back in. Look at that. A ink capacity, or this chamber, is now full of ink. Excellent. So I think I think it's right in saying that the ink capacity in this pen is a little bit more than most pens. You can see there the chamber is now fully, well, it's fully black, so we've got a full chamber. Absolutely superb. So in effect, what would happen now, you would actually pop that again back into the outer sleeve, screw it on, screw it down, and away you'd go writing with this pen. And I'm sure with that ink capacity, in fact you can actually feel it in the pen, the weight of the pen, you would be able to write for, I would say, days and days and days. So a large ink capacity. So I'll swill it out after the video. Let's pop the cap back on, and there we have it. An absolutely stunning example of the Ford patent pen, or Ford's patent pen from the 1930s in this gorgeous red hard rubber mottled with these lovely touches of black to the finial and to the knob to the end there. Superb. I'm more than happy with the work that I've done and the service of this particular pen. Incidentally, this was all down to, you know, a lot of the information that I gathered is all down to Mr. Oldfield. That's Lawrence Oldfield from the Pen Practice. So thanks, Lawrence, for the information on your site. And if you want more information on this pen, go and take a look at Lawrence's site at the Pen Practice. There's a little bit more information on this pen. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed looking at this pen as much as I've enjoyed showing you this one. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget, leave a comment down below, don't be shy, and have you subscribed? If not, subscribe now. And don't forget, people, wherever you are around this world, please stay safe. But for now, I'll just say bye bye for now.